Does the stream actually stream? Yes, it is. Excellent. I think. There it is. I think. Maybe. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, I need to move this over to a fucking different window so that I can see what's up. Yeah, it was my fault. It was my fault, guys. Shrimp chips, you know. Let's see.
All right.
How y'all doing this morning?
There we go. Overlay fixed. All right.
Nice. All right, overlay's good to go. We're set. What's up, LFQ? What's up, Omni? Good morning, boys. Delicious. It is Evo week. I'm very excited. Yeah, I got some stuff for Evo that we can look at today. At least like the stream schedule and the games and the brackets and all that, I guess. I guess not brackets, but you know.
Have you heard of this Unreal plugin called Kawaii Physics? That was getting talked about for a while. This is relevant to what you're talking about, I promise. It's a free plugin that you can like get on GitHub for Unreal that I guess helps with like obvious things like jiggle physics, but I guess also works for other obvious things like tentacles and stuff like that. But anyways, I guess it's really good, and it's gotten used in a ton of like really big AAA games like Stellar Blade and Expedition 33, and
Okay.
I saw that it was like the main physics system in Tekken.
Oh, weird. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Is Tekken in Unreal now?
Yep.
I assume they use their own engine.
no, it's UE5.
Yeah.
Nope.
You could save a lot of money by not funding your own engine development. It's kind of crazy. No, that's cool. That's awesome. I think Tekken's at
It's
Evo
something
this
we
year.
might have to like try to look at it sometime. I don't know. We've
Yeah, we
never really
should.
had a use case for it, but it looks like it'd be interesting to check out.
Yeah, I'm super down. Let's see. Let's take a look at. Let's take a look at the video game news today. Looks like there's some new kind of a racing sim, Le Mans Ultimate. As a game, not great. As a sim, it's something different, they say. All right, I guess. I mean, I don't know that we need another like the racing sim games are pretty well established. I could see someone making a full Gran Turismo style campaign celebration of cars and then applying it to like Assetto Corsa, and that could be really good. That would potentially be a new game in the space.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would argue like that's the parts that Assetto Corsa and iRacing and all of those are kind of missing is the
There's no game there.
everything else that's around it that Gran Turismo gives you. Yeah.
This guy's talking about how the driving is good in this game. I don't think I care anymore. What the hell? He just compared some shit to Destiny. What the fuck? Focus on Endurance Motorsports 2 makes the sim a natural home for team-based online endurance events, popularized by subscription-only iRacing service. That's normal. It's IMSA racing. The best way to describe these scheduled multiplayer events is a bit like sim racing's equivalent of a Destiny raid. No, that's a terrible fucking way to describe it. I'm sorry. That's stupid.
Yeah, I never really tried iRacing, but it always like the idea of it sounded so stressful that was like a big reason that I avoided it. Like you crash into other people even accidentally, like you can get banned and all sorts of stuff.
I've also heard that the community is somewhat toxic. In that There are real drivers who are professional drivers. That's their job. They compete in iRacing, and there are amateurs who think it's their real job to compete in iRacing that get butthurt. So there's a lot of toxicity, especially around allowing new people to come into the scene. So I don't know if that's true or not. If anyone has different experiences with iRacing, I'm sure Adder probably does, because I think he does a bit of that. Feel free to let me know, but I have not personally heard great things about iRacing in terms of like how fun and easy it is to hop in and get racing and learn and have a good time.
Yeah, I got a free year of it with my seat for my wheel, and I don't think I ever actually used it.
So Le Mans Ultimate Review is it's that type of racing, and that track is known for endurance racing. So if they didn't have like a robust endurance racing thing, that would be weird. But also at the same time, like, endurance racing is very, very, very challenging. And it's strange to make a game that features endurance racing as like the main reason for playing it. Because if it's a mirror of real life endurance racing, you're talking like 8 to 24 hours of driving. And I'm not exaggerating. It's literally like 8 hours in an 8-hour race. You'd probably have like 2 to 3 drivers splitting up the drive time into different stints. In a 24-hour race, you have 4 drivers, and they do very, very long stints. I think it's like 4-hour stints, and they split them. So like 4 on, and then you rest for like 8 hours, and then your next shift starts, something like that. It's staggered because you can't obviously do that for everybody, but yeah. Anyway, Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase coming tomorrow.
Everybody was excited and thought it was going to be about Metroid, and then they announced that it was a partner showcase, I think yesterday.
Yeah.
And so there's not going to be any first party stuff.
Monster Hunter Wilds has some more endgame content planned for September. I guess it's going to launch in August instead. Elden Ring patch that has 2-player lobbies, and I think the new purple super boss fight things that was delayed because of the tsunami. Let's see. I guess the Pokemon company is being accused of plagiarism. Cool. For some card art for Pokemon. Battlefield 6 stuff, maybe. Isn't there a trailer this week?
There was tomorrow? A trailer. There was a trailer already.
There was a trailer for the trailer. It was like the cinematic
one. But then the trailer came out the next day.
Oh, the gameplay trailer's already out?
I don't know if it's a gameplay trailer. I think it's an official or reveal trailer. I can put it up here. I'm just going to keep the sound off.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's very like...
Yeah, this is the one I've seen. It's cinematic.
I believe.
More into Trackmania than sim racing? Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Arcade racing is definitely just not for me because I like real racing.
Do you do all the crazy, like, challenge maps and stuff, LFQ? Like, deep dip? And I don't know. I've watched some of the virtual content. I used to watch, like, a lot of Trackmania stuff. I thought it was kind of interesting, but I'm just not very good at it, so I don't play it.
Let's see. Hollow Knight Silksong is going to be playable at Gamescom. I think we talked about it last week, but Evo is also going to have a new Marvel game. What's the fucking other one that I'm like struggling to think of right now? There's a new Marvel game, and then there is Riot is going to have their fighting game shown at Evo too. And then I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of announcements as well. I heard something about Harada no longer being at Namco for Tekken or whatever, which is kind of crazy. But maybe that's not true. Maybe Harada's still there. So Harada will always, does a Tekken announcement at Evo as well. LFQ says, no, I rarely play, but if I want to play a racing game, it's my go-to. I do follow the special events, though. Nice.
Yeah. I do kind of like how it works, where you just, like, try to get the best time that you can get within the period of time, and then you go to the next track. You don't necessarily just have to do, like, one race against people or something.
Let's see. I thought this was pretty interesting. The Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield says a new AAA game feels a very long way away for him to create. This is like after Callisto Protocol, and he left the studio. Callisto Protocol didn't do well, so Striking Distance is potentially not doing well either. If not, is gone. I actually don't even know if Striking Distance is still around. Yeah, I'm gonna see if they're still alive.
Yeah, they made that Redacted game that came out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Redacted was their second game. Okay, so Striking Distance had layoffs, but they're still open. Looks like they got bought too, and I think Schofield stepped away. He was talking about how he was working on a game with his daughter, and he's been working on it for like 8 months or something like that. Their budget. So I thought this was interesting. This is the real reason I wanted to talk about it. I just remember now. So he and his daughter are working on a game with a very small team. I think he was saying it was like 6 people or less. They were seeking a budget of 17 million and holding investor meetings and all that, and trying to, pitch and get people to sign on to a deal. And he was saying a lot of the early feedback was like, drop it down to 10 million. So basically cut your budget in half. And he's like, lately the numbers dropped to 2 to 5 million. So he was seeking 17 million based on his business model and like schedule and all that stuff for all the pricing exercises he did. And now even this dude who has connections and successfully launched an IP that is very memorable and, has all this clout, right? He can't even raise money to make a new game. So that's the state of things right now. It's not very growth friendly, or new risk friendly, I should say. And it sounds, obviously, like when we're talking about these numbers, they seem kind of insane for your average person who might be watching this, who's like, what the fuck do you need $17 million for? Well, you have to pay people well if you want to get the best talent, and that's going to make your game better, you hope. It takes a certain amount of time. So you have to think like, if we execute in this way, it's going to take this amount of time. I have to pay this amount of people this much money on average in order to get here. So the development cost is going to be this. After we ship, here's what we think it'll sell for. All this, you go through all these numbers, and that's how you're trying to get to an agreement for someone to give you money. 17 million is like still outside of AAA as far as budgets go, but it's kind of that like normal spot. That's kind of like the sweet spot. It's either like $1 million or less, or like $300 million for a new IP. So getting into the 20 million or less range is a strategy that some people are employing. And a lot of that is like scoping and figuring out like what your project is, how big it's going to be, and all that. So I don't know. It makes sense. I don't like that. That's the other weird thing. He's not going like, we need 17 million. And then he's like, sick, I got it. And then he just puts the money in the bank and goes and buys a house and a car and all that. And he's living pretty. That's not how that works. Like if you do that shit, you are committing crime. So you have to actually like try to make something and spend the money on building a product that will be profitable, because that's the contract you're signing with your investors. You're telling them that they're going to give you money. You will give them all their money back plus some as a thank you for giving you the extra money. So, or for giving you the money to start your thing. So when we're talking millions, it's weird. It feels like, how the fuck do you do this? Like, that's so much money. Well, that's how much it costs to make games. It's very, very expensive. Yeah, and LFQ, I definitely think he knows what he's talking about. I mean, he's the guy that created Dead Space, so he's been through let's make a brand new IP. He's been through let's start a new studio. Let's continue this IP, sign deals with consoles and exclusivity things and whatnot, and all that business and negotiating with platforms and publishers. He's done all those things. That guy can't raise money for a new project, which is telling. I think that's the whole point I was trying to make. Let's see. Since we are talking about Evo a little bit, to change gears, Sony's got a PlayStation 5 arcade stick that they're calling the Flex Strike, and that's coming in 2026. So I imagine they're probably going to show something at Evo as well. Oh, it looks like Sony owns Evo now. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, the controller will be on display for the first time at Evo 2025 in Vegas. So that answers the question, Tony. We were asking about like why, or at least I was, why would Sony even do this when, you know, Kanba and Hitbox and Hori all exist? They make all the parts for like arcade cabinets, you know, globally. Well, that's why, because they own Evo. So they're going to show off their own shit and sell to, you know, directly to the market. I guess it's wired. Oh, it's also wired, Tony. It's got a USB-C cable. So I imagine a lot of people will use the wired functionality. You probably play wireless at home when you're chilling, having a good time.
Yeah.
It has interchangeable toolless restrictor gates. So that's where your joystick goes. Square, circle, and octagon for the interchangeable restrictor gates. Cool. Might be interesting.
What do you have on your fight stick? Is it a shape? Or is it circular?
Well, I have a Hori PS3 fucking whatever thing. I don't know what that model is, but Fight Stick is generally, I think that's a Mad Catz product. It's like their specific branding. But it would be a circular one.
Okay, yeah. I figure like octagon probably make it easier for directionality on like because you have to do like specific directions for the combos and the moves, right?
Yeah, totally. On a circular restrictor gate, it's difficult to find neutral positions like directly left, directly right, or diagonal. So that's probably why you would want the octagon, but I don't know. The circle's fine.
You can always say the GameCube controller is nice because it has an octagon around the joystick, so you can get true up and down and left and right.
Yeah, that's the restrictor gate.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, Sony is suing Tencent because they claim that Tencent is ripping off Horizon Zero Dawn, which is interesting. I guess they were in a conversation about doing a Horizon collab or something with Tencent, and Sony was like, nah, we don't want to do this. And then Tencent was like, okay, cool, we already made a thing, but it's different. So IP law is weird. It's interesting because like this could set legal precedent for like what can and can't be done. Like, could you make a Pal World? I don't know. And we're also talking about a American/Japanese company in Sony suing a Chinese company. Like, how does that even fucking work? Like, you've got multiple countries that are involved, and it's going to be weird. So hopefully it goes in a way that's positive for gamers. Who fucking knows? I don't know if I already talked about it. Yeah, I did. Silk Song playable at Gamescom. Looks like it's going to be on all the platforms is what they were trying to say about it. So it's going to be Xbox, PC, Switch 2. I haven't seen anything about PlayStation.
I think it's owned by Microsoft, so it might not be on PlayStation.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
All right. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for news.
Oh no, it says in the 6 years since then, developer Team Cherry has confirmed the game will be releasing on Xbox and PlayStation consoles.
Nice. We've got a VR games showcase coming up on August 12th, so we should probably watch that. Check it out. Those were the guys who gave us a feature for Hyperskate, so that's cool. We should show them some love and watch their stuff on stream too. Let's see. Evo schedule Friday, August 1st starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And it's going to open with Street Fighter 6 pools. There's going to be a showcase, actually, but they always run multiple channels. So there's like seven main streams and then 2 alternate streams. So it's a huge event. If you want to watch it, best bet is to open up multiple windows and watch all the things at once and then like mute and figure out which one you want to see. Or go look at the schedule, which Tony has up here. And looking at the schedule, you can figure out like what game is going to be on which channel at which time, and then you can go enjoy Rivals of Ether 2 if that's what you want to watch, which is going to be on Evo 1 at 6 p.m. on Saturday. What I like is that it starts late because gamers are, night owls, so I can go to the gym on Saturday and still catch Evo all day. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. What's up, Kuro Pebbles? Welcome.
My only memory of Evo is that last year for Evo, we did the Hot Ones challenge on one of the Evo days, and it was really painful.
Yes, we did. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was like during Evo.
Yep.
I had to go do social stuff while watching it on my iPad. There you go, LFQ. The Evo fucking emote. Let's go, bro. Is that a global one? No, LFQ watches Evo. Okay. All right. All right. Got some clout. Some street cred out there. Let me see. I don't think I have anything else. It's been a, I guess, good, chill. You know, I say chill because every other time we're talking about game news is some kind of a fucking scandal, a AAA crash out, a bunch of people losing their jobs. Like there's not like, hey, check out this cool ass game that's coming out. Everyone's like shook and not shipping games, not announcing stuff. There's like very little hype now. It sucks. At least out of AAA. It's a permanent emote for subbing to Evo years ago. Nice. LFQ single-handedly holding up Twitch as a platform. You're the best, bro. Thank you. Yeah, dude, are you gonna watch Evo this year? Are there any games that you want to go check out? Anything you're excited to see the tournament gameplay of? Oh, Marvel Capcom 2. That should be pretty hype. That's on Evo 6 pools on Friday. I say that'll be cool because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a game from, I think, the late 90s. And it's, I think, widely regarded as the least balanced Marvel game. But it's also the most competitive played Marvel game. So it should be really, really awesome. Let me see if I got anything else about Marvel in here. All the finals are on Sunday normally, which is good because if you only want to catch the finals, you can just watch on Sunday. Finals are usually pretty crazy, pretty awesome. I like watching pools because pools has a lot of insane shit. What makes Evo cool is that it's a open bracket tournament, so you get professionals who've been doing this, and that's their job. That's how they make a living, is playing fighting games competitively. And then you get like random dude, named like Big Sean, 48 365, and that dude comes in and like sweeps a fucking game and makes finals, and you're like, who is this dude? Where did he come from? So that's really cool. Curl Pebble says, I never really got into Evo. My buddy would go almost every year, but I only watch every now and again. Yeah, I love Evo. So it's this week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's my plan. This weekend, I'm going to be watching Evo. Might do some Gran Turismo racing while I'm in there. So Tony, you got this black eye camera. What are the big advantages of it? Like, why would we want to play with black eye camera? Why would you want to pick it up yourself and put it into your project? You know?
We're gonna find out together to some extent, but if you watch like their demo videos here, this maybe if I minimize this, that seems just making my computer somewhat unhappy, to be honest. But so if you'll just kind of see, like, they'll drag this camera in here. They got this guy who's walking around like a zombie, and they just like turn on a few controls and immediately it will start tracking them. That's something that you can definitely do with cameras out of the box in Unreal, but they come out of the box looking very cinematic. They have a nice depth of field. I think their look at tracking probably works a little better than the built-in system. So you can see as they move around, it's doing that. But then he can also do some cool stuff if he keeps going, where like this dynamic FOV thing. So it's drawing a bounding box around the subject that they're tracking here. And as it moves, it's going to adjust the FOV and, the look at direction to always make sure that the subject's bounding box is staying inside the frame, and that he has a lot of controls over here as to what percentage of the frame it's taking up and what the limits are on the zoom and the damping and stuff like that.
So
I was showing this to Adder, and he was saying he has to like build this by hand.
So like a lot better like directorial or cinematography control over a cinematic camera over what Unreal has. That's cool. That's awesome.
And so like a lot of the stuff you just kind of like drop in and it seems to work. They have like rule of thirds shortcuts, if you kind of know what that is, where it'll like frame the subject more on one of these third lines as opposed to right in the center of the camera. Just you name it. So this was on sale for like 70% off, and it's something that I've been looking at for a while, so I thought it seemed like a good thing to pick up, and probably be pretty helpful for, like, I mean, look at that shot. That looks great. And you could achieve something like this with the cameras in Unreal, no problem. I think just a lot of this stuff is things that you would have to kind of make blueprints for and set up yourself and kind of dial in. And we spent a ton of time making our trailer look as good as it did, and it would have been nice to not have to do some of that stuff, because I ended up just kind of like doing a lot of things they're showing here by hand. And
so we should probably cut a new trailer with a black eye camera, after we fuck around with it a bit. Kuro says, I will never forget the pain of getting destroyed in Blaze, Skullgirls, and King of Fighters. Yeah, I don't play, like, I like fighting games, but I'm not good at them, so I don't really play competitive fighting games. I've been playing Street Fighter 6, so that's been really fun. How did you find us, Kuro? I noticed that it was your first time chatting. I feel like I recognize your name. No, you just followed us 7 minutes ago. Thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. But yeah, how did you come across us, and like what made you want to hang out with us today? Also, I'm just assuming you want to hang out with us today. You might just be like, these guys are fucking weird. I'm out. I love this plugin so far. Nice. Do you do stuff in Unreal? Let me drop some links for you. So we're a game studio called Fractal Grove. Tony and I are the co-founders. I'm Vince. Tony is down there. But yeah, we're the co-founders of the studio. We're working on you were just browsing and saw us on? Awesome. Yeah, we're working on a PC VR game called Hyperskate. Here is a link to that and some of our other stuff. We stream twice a week on Twitch and YouTube, which reminds me I should go make sure YouTube is functional and happy. I assume it probably is. Oh, we got some... I'm sorry, YouTube chat. We got some YouTube chat today. We've got Mega Steak Man and LFQ chatting it up over there, and in in our YouTube chat, in addition to Twitch chat. I guess Steakman's not in
Really, I'm not
in Twitch
seeing
chat today.
that on my thing. I'm sorry, guys. I usually try to keep an eye on that. That's crazy.
You're good, bro. Steakman's commenting on Black Eye camera. He was saying, yeah, there's a tracking option in the Cinecam, but it doesn't really bind well to spawnable actors. So I'm assuming that's one of the things that Black Eye camera improves on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's just again a lot of like damping and smoothing settings and like the dynamic FOV and keeping the thing in frame. Like none of those things are available out of the box, and you would have to basically write a blueprint probably that would kind of only work while the game was running to some extent. And a lot of the stuff they're doing here, they're doing kind of outside of runtime, which is cool. So, yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, my goal today is just to kind of like, I want to make some cool looking stuff. We had made this scene a very long time ago when Megalights first came out. That kind of looks like this. I had made some renders, and then I had ultimately made this like 3D image thing that you could look around in with your phone with your gyroscope. So I'm kind of using that same scene as the base. I took this whole like glowing building out of it, and I just want to try to make some interesting looking like renders or something. Just kind of mess around with the cameras and maybe make some new stuff I can put in our waiting screen on our stream or something eventually. So
Steakman, what's your tell me about the thing that you want me to plug, because I'll plug your stuff. Mega Steakman is
Mega Mocap VR is what.
Yeah, he was saying he wrote a spring hand cam option for his mocap system, but this looks more fully featured. So yeah, I wanted to give him a chance to plug his stuff. But he's Mega Mocap VR. He makes stuff for mocap and camera systems in Unreal, which is fucking awesome. We love having him here, and he's a cool part of the community. For you, Kuro, I'll tell you a little bit more about us. I've been making games as a game designer professionally for like 15 years now, something like that. You've seen us pop up on YouTube or Mega Mocap? Because I imagine you probably would have seen Mega Mocap over us. But if you've seen us, that's cool. It's likely Destiny or Bungie related. As you can tell by this Whisper replica back here, I worked at Bungie for about 5 years and did a bunch of stuff there. Oh, you've seen us pop up. Okay, awesome. That's cool. I'm glad you came over here from YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do a twice a week live stream, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays in the morning, from our time is Mountain, so we do 10 a.m. to noon Mountain time. And then on Thursdays, we usually kind of do like a let's play game designer breakdown of a game, or we play with the community. We played Peak the last couple weeks. Last week we were playing Mycopunk. We played with community as well. So yeah, that's the vibe if you want to check it out. We only stream 4 hours a week because we are a game studio and we're working on a game. So that's our main focus. We do this to crowdfund the studio, and because of wonderful people in our community like LFQ, we are able to cover operations costs. So that's licenses for software, web server hosting, stuff like that. So we're good. We're technically profitable, but we can't. It's not enough to pay anyone yet. So our team is still very, very small, and we're depending on the kindness of friends and strangers, and it's going. It's not the fastest. It would be better if we had more funding and that we could directly prioritize, hiring certain people that we need to help us finish parts of the game. But as I was saying earlier, typically on Wednesdays, I like to talk about, game industry news for like the first hour or so. And then we get into tools and other stuff and show our project and what we're working on. So as I was talking about this morning, the creator of Dead Space, I think he was at Striking Distance for a while. He did Callisto Protocol and Redacted, and he hasn't been in the studio for a little bit, but he was trying to spin up a new project with his daughter, who's also works in games. I don't know exactly what her job is, but they were trying to do a project together, and he was seeking funding, and he was seeking 17 million, which is not bad for a brand new game, especially at a AAA level. That's not bad at all. And the investors were like, get it closer to 10 million. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to keep trying. And 8 months later, he's like, Yeah, I gotta like cut some team members as we made this prototype, but we're not getting any bites. So now my budget's looking like $2 million, which is significantly smaller in scope. So I don't know. That's the nature of the business right now. So Kuro, are you a Destiny fan or like a Bungie fan? Is that how you came through? It's totally cool if you are. I'm wearing a Destiny shirt right now. It's from Destiny 1. It's the Mars landing cinematic. What's up, Brightside? Afternoon, boys. Hope you guys are doing well. I keep missing first comments. I've been slacking recently. Bro, I forgive you. You're probably shook because of all the amazing, sound engineering that comes out of Wayso Music. I feel like that dude, like just, bro, Thursday was a rough time at the beat off, I'm just playing. We know that guy's a clown. I thought you took it really well, man. I was like, I could see you getting more mad, and you're like, man, fuck this guy. It's so funny to me. He was really bringing the vibes down, so I don't blame you for going off on him. He was fucking everything up, bro. So I hope you had a good weekend and everything else is doing well. Also, I wanted to say, I noticed on stream on Thursday, dude, you're looking fucking jacked, brother. You got those pythons going. I'm sure you're yammed up now. Getting ready for those wedding photos, huh? Oh god, everyone remembers his name too. Dude, he made sure we remembered his name in the most negative way possible. Yeah, Omni, early worm gets the bird, as they say. So Tony, you procedurally generated the forest, right? I'm trying to remember this project.
I mean, I didn't, but this is from the Electric Dreams sample project, and I have altered it a little bit, and this is kind of just like their basic like PCG forest generation, some ultra dynamic sky. I want to try to just like shoot some cool stuff with like the light and the trees. I'm trying to think of something to put in this clearing here, but I'm gonna be right back actually. So.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, mocap. I hope I did you justice talking about your plugins and stuff that you do. So yeah, you're awesome and you make some really cool stuff. So we appreciate having you here as a part of the community. Kuro says, okay, sorry, I was mid-compile, my PC crashed, so it cut out after the crowdfunding. No, you're good, bro. Don't even worry about it. I was saying that, like, I worked on Destiny. It's cool that you're here from, Bungie content, whatever that we've done, covering Bungie stuff. I'm wearing a Destiny shirt right now. It's the D1 Mars landing cinematic. Here, I'll stand up so you guys can see it a little better. It's like one of the first Destiny shirts I ever got. I've way too many now. I've got like 30 or 40 just from working on the game for 5 years. So what we're doing, what I was saying is that funding is particularly difficult to secure nowadays. Just right now, the whole industry is going through a period of austerity, and that's why you see so many jobs getting cut, and everyone's tightening their belts and all that. No one's funding new projects. And even the creator of Dead Space, who made Striking Distance, I assume, I don't know if this is correct, but he was affiliated with Striking Distance Studios, that did Callisto Protocol and Redacted. Successful, definitely successful, creative visionary type of a guy. And he can't actually raise funding. He was trying to spin up a new project for 17 million. His investors, after even 3 rounds of meetings and pitching and negotiating, were like, get it down to 10 million. So he's adjusted the budget, and he's like 8 months in. It's now more like 2 to 5 million. So that dude with connections and shit is struggling to raise money. So we went this route because of wonderful people like LFQ, who's donated to the channel very consistently in wonderful large amounts. We are able to cover operations costs for the studio. So that's how we're doing it now. That's not to say we're not seeking publishing or partnership or anything like that. Of course, if the right deal shows up, yeah, and then Hyperscape will get finished a lot faster. So that's where we are. You're dying right now just to get 1 million? Yeah, dude. What are you working on, Kuro? Tell us about your game. Tell us what you're working in and all that. Feel free. We enjoy sharing and plug your stuff. There's a lot of creators that hang out here. Brightside's one, Mega Mocap VR is another. LFQ's creating positive vibes, so is Omni Dynamic. Wonderful people. But yeah. You love Destiny, really want to add the scale to your game. I think so. After working on it, I think you can do that pretty easily because Destiny is not streamed, so it's not like an open world game. It works in like a traditional model of like transitions and bubbles is kind of the industry terminology, where you have like this chunk of the game is loaded and there's stuff under the hood that is determining which other part will load. So when you go through a narrow hallway in Destiny, you're hitting a loading zone. That's a transition, and that's loading the next space you're going into and keeping the other one cached. So it's not even streaming, and you can still make a game with a lot of scale and feeling to it. Brightside said Mans was salty that music is subjective. That was a pretty crazy time. I saw Red for a little. I'm a little embarrassed at even calling someone out, but Mans was definitely trying to shit on submissions for people. Nah, dude, you did a good job. Yeah, honestly, you did a really good job.
For real.
Yeah, and I agree. Fuck that guy, man. He was like really bringing the vibes down, and your show is always very positive and supportive.
Yeah, dude. I came in there and put in like a 16-second loop on the first day, and like you guys nicely razzed me, but like everybody was really cool, and it made me want to like come back and do it again because I knew that it wasn't going to be like a place where people were going to talk shit and bully me if I didn't do a good job. So you do a good job of keeping that out of there. That guy should stay away.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back, dude. He got roasted by everybody. Like everyone in chat fucking hated him, but they were trying to be nice too. They were like, "Bro, just relax." And he's like, "I'm out. I'm not going to do round 2. You guys fucking suck. You don't even know what a beat is." And they're like, "Dude, show us what a beat is in round 2. Come on, get in here. Go again." And he was like, "Nah, you guys fucking suck. You're stupid." And then Brightside just exploded and was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man?" I was like, "Yes, get him, dude."
So crazy.
Kuro says, "I'm at the massive structures. It feels so small. It's amazing." A little bit of that is Bungie magic, I gotta say. That stuff you just learn with experience and doing stuff at a really large scale when you're like, you know, resources aren't really a limitation. Dream as big as you can and make the coolest fucking thing possible. I will say that's not Bungie today. That's the Bungie when I was there, but it was on the way out. So I don't know, man. It takes a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom. Brightside says, "Yeah, we definitely playfully jabbed him beforehand. He didn't get the hint." No, he did not get the hint, dude. He like tripled down. I love how mad he was, and he's like, "I'm not even mad. I just think it's funny." And it's like, dude, you're clearly
I'm not even mad.
You're so fucking mad.
The main thing people who are mad say.
My favorite way to get people to calm down is to tell them to calm down too. Yo, why don't you just calm down, bro? Kuro says, "I'm a solo dev working on a stylish hack and slash with shooter elements called Project Calamity." That's awesome, dude. What's your, like, I guess, dev background? Or is this like just for funsies? You want to put it in the market? Like, what's your scope here? And when do you want to launch your game? How big is it going to be? Are you going to do early access? All the questions, man. Let's talk about your shit. I'm going to look up Project Calamity. I don't know if you have a web presence. You may not. Let's see. Is it Project Calamity, a prelude in the divine? I see a forum post by someone, Altair IF. Is that you, or is this someone else entirely? 3 days ago? I was assuming that's you. What we getting in on today? So Brightside, I was talking about how hard it is to raise funding. Use the Dead Space guy as an example. He's trying to do a new thing after the Callisto Protocol lukewarm reception and the flop of Redacted. And he's spinning up a project with his daughter. And it's been like, I guess he was saying 8 months of investor rounds. They started with a budget of 17 million, dropped all the way down to like, now he's trying to get it like 1 to 2 million. So that's small in scope. The scope difference between, you know, 17 million and 1 million is massive. So I don't know. It's tough. We're also talking about Evo. I don't know if you're into fighting games at all, Brightside, but Evo is fucking sick, and that's this week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Tony is working on exploring the limitations and fun times with the Black Eye camera plugin, which gives you a more cinematic camera than the native offerings in Unreal. So it might be something you want to play with. Tony was saying it was on sale like 75% off or something.
I don't think it is anymore, but it was.
Oh, it may not be anymore.
Yep.
All right. Well, you might have missed out, Brightside. Sorry, bro. Kuro says, I've been radio silent for the last 2 years since I've started. Okay, so this is not you. All right, cool. Started learning Unreal about 3 years ago. It was the first time I ever did any game dev. I'm in my last year or so in college. Nice, man. That's awesome. Not that you're necessarily asking for advice, but I would say if you want to finish your game and put it in the market, try to reduce your scope as much as possible. So what I mean is, if you started with, I'm going to make an MMO, make it a single player game. If you're like, I'm going to make it, I know you were saying it's like hack and slash, reduce the amount of playable characters, reduce the amount of levels, reduce the amount of enemies. Think about how much you can make on your own. Because you got to do all your art, all your music, all your programming. It's a lot of stuff. What does it do to make it more cinematic? LFQ says 24 frames per second kappa.
Very nice.
Nice, Kuro. Yeah.
No, I think it has nice default settings and depth of field and a bunch of
better camera tracking.
This dynamic FOV thing right here. So you can see this ball takes up, I don't know, let's call it 20% of the frame vertically, and so as I move this camera around, it's going to dynamically adjust the FOV and try to keep that ball inside the frame at all times. And I think you can lock the percentage. I don't think they have the percentage necessarily locked that way here, but if I were moving this camera around very slowly, which is kind of hard to do in the editor here because I'm going on ticks, but you get a nice smooth cinematic look, and the depth of field looks really nice, I think, and it does a lot of stuff out of the box that the normal ones don't necessarily do.
I saw a little bit of chat
in the movement.
What's that, Tony?
Nothing. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I saw a little bit of chat over on YouTube. Mocap was saying his current budget is $4,000 for making a game. I mean, for what it's worth, dude, I think we can finish Hyperskate and be in a good place to build more stuff without being in financial dire straits and needing to seek more funding at about 5 million. We could finish Hyperskate with a smaller budget for sure, but success of the company, if we've got more buffer to build other projects, we'll be set. So any pitches we do aren't just for Hyperskate. They're actually for a couple different projects that we have in flight. So it is what it is. It's hard. It's very hard. Brightside says 24 FPS is the new meta, ultra widescreen. Exactly. Mega Mocap was saying he thinks Black Eye camera is all about camera tracking, procedural handheld feel, and all that. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah, Tony?
Yeah, and I think that just has a lot of nice quality of life things for making multi-camera cinematics and stuff like that. I definitely haven't dug into that part of it quite yet, but I feel I see that type of thing mentioned quite a bit.
Nice.
I need to watch through this video again, but yeah, it just has a lot of I'd say it's all about quality of life, and tracking seems to be a really big part of it, and just making your tracking shots look better, or to your point, yeah, more cinematic, more natural, more whatever, real, what have you. So I mean, they have a ton of videos on their YouTube that look like they go into all the different stuff that it can do, and I've barely scratched the surface, but I'm sure there's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
That's awesome. Kuro saying currently my biggest problem is I basically no art. It's my worst aspect. The goal is to complete 13 to 14 chapter story, but I need money for that. So I pause the story midway through chapter 1. Yeah, that's where I would say think about your scope. Do you really need 14 chapters? Can you tell your story in like 5 chapters without, all that extra exposition and other stuff that you're trying to do? That could help reduce scope, and then your budget won't need to be as big. Art is really hard, man. It's been something I've been focused on for probably about 2 years, is recruiting artists to help us, because I'm a game designer with strong writing skills and, creative vision type of stuff. Tony is a software engineer and he's really good at tech stack things. We don't have an art champion. We've had probably about 5 or 6 different artists come through. Some have built us some things, some have not. Some have said that they would do stuff and just didn't do anything. It's all over the place, and it's very, very difficult, especially if you can't pay anyone. It makes things that much harder. So one of the things that you might be able to do, Kuro, is check out the asset marketplace for Unreal and get in there, and you might be able to get most of the way there with store-bought assets. That's okay. I know that people want to gamers and people on Reddit and shit want to talk trash about someone that uses asset flips, but if you make a good game with asset flips, it doesn't fucking matter. Oh, we got a bot. Deny. Hold on, let me ban this motherfucker real quick. God damn it. I gotta click him over here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Report. Spam bots. All right, and then ban, get the fuck out of here, dog. I'm taking the characters from the story and all their abilities and making a hero shooter. Okay, so let's back up here. I know you're not asking for advice. It's really hard for me to not give it because I've been doing this for such a long time. But you were saying hack and slash, and now you're saying hero shooter. So I view those as 2 really different genres. But if you've thought about how they integrate, cool, that's totally fine. It's difficult if you're trying to make 2 different genres become a thing, because your scope is going to be much larger. You need these hero shooter elements. You need these hack and slash elements. Like try to narrow it down and make your vision a little tighter, Think Deadlock. Okay, cool. Nice. Taking the characters from the story and all their abilities and making a hero shooter. Yep. Should have been a little more clear. I have weapons, about 3,000 animations, and some other assets. That's great. That's really good stuff. If you can, focus on gameplay first. So make sure that your game is fun and that you can play it. It sounds like if it's multiplayer, and if it's multiplayer, that's going to be really difficult to test on your own to find fun. Is that your goal? Do you want to make it multiplayer? Mega Stakeman says, yeah, you need burn rate. Right now, the fuel for my game is my body. Yeah, that's us too, brother. We have 0 accounting for burn rate. We're very careful with how we spend money because we don't have a lot of it. So, buying this camera plugin is a good idea. Another tool like DaVinci Resolve for making social media content returns money. It makes us money. So spending money there is useful. But getting the amount of money it would require to pay an artist to make us a bunch of assets in a longer term situation is going to be hard because it's not fair. We can't really pay someone what it's worth. So yeah, I would say that. One of the things, Stakeman, for reducing burn through is like, don't have a physical office, dude. You don't need it nowadays. And I know a lot of people love that too, especially employees are like, I don't ever want to fucking have to go into an office. Cool. It's great. Like, you don't have to do that. Another thing is, think about if you're hiring new team members to contribute, think about the benefits and the the pros and cons of hiring someone on a contract to produce a thing that you need to make your game better versus employing someone, full time with benefits and all of that. That's not to say people shouldn't have benefits. It's just more of, how do you run your business in a way that you're not going to have to shut your doors in, a year or two when your funding is gone? Like, that's the hard part. And that's one of the things we're doing here with Fractal Grove is we're trying to change the way the industry functions so that we don't stay in this really shitty loop of like quad A games and $500 million budgets and games costing $100, and they have all these always online services and bullshit that nobody wants and nobody needs. Kuro says, currently I have two game modes complete, 2 characters completely done. While working on the single player story, I tried to make contained and feature complete systems. Also, I know what I'm trying is completely insane. No, it's totally okay. I wouldn't say it's insane as much as like, this is one of the more, I think one of the bigger challenges that people maybe don't talk about as much with making games is that you can really work on a game forever. You could always add more shit. You can do more stuff. And knowing when it's done, that's what I mean about scope. Like, what's the thing you want to ship? What's the most pure, simplest version of the fun part of your game that you can ship? You start there, and that's what, people in the industry refer to as MVP, or minimum viable product, right? So if you start with an MVP, then you can start adding in some of like your wish list items or big, blue sky dreams that you want to put in your game. So think small, start small, keep it very simple. And, you can still do that now. You're not like, try to avoid the sunk cost fallacy of like, I've spent so much time and effort on this thing, I got to keep going because, I got to make this other thing. Think about the types of people who are going to play your game too. It's important to make a game for yourself that you want to play. But you also just need to be aware of like, who else is going to want to play your game? And if it's a multiplayer game, that's pretty important. I know that you're new here. I'm just in this mode because this is like what the stream is about, is like me trying to share my experience and help more people make the games that they want to make. That's the vibes that we go for here, is like sharing information, helping people get there. You're working on the minimum product currently? Perfect, dude. That's great. Yeah, that's really cool. Keep going. Don't stop. Think about when you hit tough times, how you can actually get this thing in the market and ship your game. Another thing that I think is kind of important to recognize is if your dev cycle is longer than 3 years to put the game in the market, consider that any references you make to current things, be it politics or comedy or cultural references and memes and shit like that, they will be wholesale irrelevant when you ship your game. 3 years is almost too long. So anything longer than 3 years is like guaranteed as a cultural miss. So, well, here's the problem, Kuro. We're not streamers. Even though we stream, we are game developers first. I've been doing this for a long time, and my goal is to help people, not shit on other people's ideas. I want to help someone come around like where they are with their ideas and the thing they're trying to make, to the shortest path, or the path of least resistance to reality, where you can make a thing and it's actually out there, and then you're like, fuck, I did it. I did the thing. One of the hardest parts of making a game is finishing it and putting it out in the market. And it's too nuanced to get into every detail of like why that is hard. But the coolest, most fun times are at the beginning of a project. The middle of the project, as you're working out all the details with a really strong vision, can be very tough. I find closing to be okay because you already know what you're doing. You know what your scope is. You know how much you need to make, and you just got to do it. So the faster you can get through that middle part and know what you're making to finish, the better it's going to be for you and your cycle and your productivity and like actually putting something out there. It is also totally valid, since you were saying you're in like last year of school and stuff like that, and you're doing this as a solo project. It's totally valid to just keep working on this forever. You're going to keep learning stuff. If you don't, if you're not trying to make this your living, keep going. Just keep working on it. And the other really good thing is, if you want to get a job in games, you can use your project to show your experience for the job you're applying for. And that's the most effective tool you can have. Nobody gives a shit about your resume. Nobody really cares about like any degree that you might have. It's not going to get you a job in the same way that showing, this is what I made, here's how I made it, this is what I was thinking, that will get you there. Most important software product principle is focusing on MVP. You can iterate after that. Yep. Omni's a software director, so Omni knows that stuff pretty well. Kuro Pebbles says, I spent 2 years learning and testing, and I started around November working on the MVP. That's the plan. I want my own studio. Your own studio is a whole other can of worms. Best advice I could give you, get a job in the industry. I know it's not what you want to do, but I wanted to make my own studio from a very young age. I started making games when I was 30. I'm 42 now, and we started Fractal Grove a little over 2 years ago, I think. Like full-time, we're doing our own thing. So if you think about that, I spent, a whole career getting up to the point where I was like, all right, I think I know how to do this. Let's go for it now. So it's not to say that you can't do it in the way that you're trying to. The thing that I'm trying to get at is that you can make your chances of success go way up if you take other people's learned lessons and experience and learn from that instead of making those mistakes yourself. And that's the real benefit. You get a network of people who are in the industry. Then you can get to the point where you're like, oh, I know this person who works at this publisher. They can set up a pitch meeting for me. That's really hard to do, especially if you're cold calling and no one knows who you are, to get in the door and even show someone what you're working on. Just, let alone signing a deal. So yeah, starting your own studio is a completely different can of worms. I think those, so start with making a game, try to get some experience being at a bigger studio to see how those function. I've worked in indie, I've worked outside of games a lot. Like most of my career has actually been outside of the games industry. And yeah, there's just so much stuff to learn that will make you better and increase your odds of achieving your goals. Oh, I know. That was the best lesson I learned while I was in the military. Everyone knows someone you don't know. Yeah, totally. The best networking events that I went to early on in my career was Penny Arcade Expo. I went to PAX in Boston and Seattle for like 6 years or something like that in a row. Just went to every single one, had a great time, met a lot of people. That opened the door to the industry for me, got me my first jobs. Yeah, it was really important. And through those connections, I ended up at Bungie, and it was fun. I made a really big impact at Bungie, made some really cool stuff at, for Destiny. I made the Whisper in 0 Hour. I made a ton of quest content and open world content for D2. Did the D2 launch, the main quest line, all kinds of shit like that. So yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm glad that you appreciate the advice. What'd you do in the military? I come from a military family myself. I didn't serve, but I mean, at several points in my life, I was I had more friends or family who were active or retired, active duty or retired across all branches than civilian friends and family. So I'm very military friendly. Marine 1391 bulk fuel specialist. Yeah, let's go, bro. Get that hazard pay for toting all the gasoline. Brightside says, fuck it. I might have to go to PAX now. Dude, if you want to go to a con and do some networking, Brightside, let me know. We should coordinate, and you can, kind of like hang out with us, and we can get your feet wet, right? And then obviously it's not going to be useful if you're pitching to the same people we're pitching to. Like we have competing goals there, but we could definitely, like, the whole industry is built off of that. Everybody knows each other, so we can definitely help introduce you to people and have these conversations. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to, Kuro. Yeah, you're in Boston anyway. Yeah, dude, that's way easier. If you want to go to Boston PAX, that'd be cool. I'm sure Tony and I could make that happen if we want to figure out when to do it. It's usually in spring, so I think we're talking 26 at this point, but that could be a good time. You're in Ohio, Kuro? Nice. Yeah, we're in Colorado. Brightside, why did I think you were in New York? Probably because I'm a Colorado. What's that, Tony?
I said I definitely kind of did too.
Probably because I'm a Colorado person was my answer.
The entire East Coast is New York to us.
Yeah. What were you saying, Lucky, about Kuro being in Colorado? Or something else, like networking and stuff? I don't know. The plan is to find an artist before winter is up. Oh, yeah. So I'm basically from Colorado. So being in a military family, I moved around until I was like 12. And I've lived in a bunch of different places. Oh, you're from New York. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right, thank you. So yeah, you seem New York like a New Yorker, like culturally, But yeah, I moved around a bunch, kind of settled in Colorado when I was like in middle school, and I've been here for 20-ish, 25 years, something like that. So Colorado's basically home. I'm, Boulder area, Denver's not really my shit. We were both right. Nice. I love being right. It's the best shit ever. The right side movement, dude. Kuro, I think if you want to see, this is the hard part. I've worked with a lot of artists over, my 15-year game design career, and it's really difficult to tell when an artist is good. And just because of my experience, like I'm acting as art director right now too, which is very difficult because I don't have the skills to be an art director, but it's just something that you got to do when you're a small studio and you're starting out. So wear a lot of different hats. But the puns. Actually, to be honest, it's just being like a normal human being and having a conversation with other people. You'll see there's like gamers are an interesting crowd, man. But just being like a normal person and being like, hey, you want to like get a beer after the con or whatever? Like, is there a party we can go talk at? Like that happens the entire con, and getting invites to parties it's like really important. So, you have a couple drinks and chat with someone who's, high up in a place or who knows a person and they introduce you to someone. It's really good. Kuro says, I did networking and web dev before I joined the military, then got out and said, I want to tell stories through games. That's sick, dude. So you're kind of on the similar path that I was. I went to college for 2D and 3D animation. Left that in like 2006 or something. No, not even like 2004. I don't know. Not very far along, early 2000s. And I went into IT networking, and I built like a whole IT networking career. I did desktop support, and then got into CCNP level network, network engineering things. Worked at the North America, Western Europe, and LATAM backbone, level 3. I think they're now called Lumen, but they were like level 3 CenturyLink and now Lumen. So I was there for a while, and having that job working at Lumen was actually the way I was able to get into games, because I was able to go to PAX for the first time, met a bunch of people, had a really good time, started those connections. I was like, how do I get into games? They gave me some advice. I followed their advice, and I was able to turn that into my full-time job. So there was a period of probably about a year and a half where I did my network engineering job, and at night I would come home and get a 6-pack and work until like 5 a.m. making video game stuff. So I did level design for my very first gig. And then I did, I guess, like experience and app design for my second one. I worked on a robot product called Sphero. At Sphero, I think the most notable thing that they did is they made the BB-8 toy. It's like a sphere with like a little head, BB-8's robotic magnetic head, whatever, floated around on top of it. And then from there, I got hired at Bungie. So yeah, and then I've done a bunch of other stuff since then. I hired an artist and it didn't go well. I'm not picky, but damn, I got a vision in the back of my mind and it won't go away. So I haven't found the person I really want yet. Yeah. I think learning how to give and receive feedback is a very important part of the process, especially at the high level. I found that you want to balance giving your creatives room to fully express themselves, but do it within the scope of the vision you're trying to achieve. That's the hardest part as like a leader or like a director level, right? And I got to experience some of that at Bungie when I was working on Destiny 2, making the Whisper in 0 Hour. I was the vision holder, so I was like the only designer on both of those projects, like explaining here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it and all that. Basically just had free reign to go make cool shit, and that was an awesome experience. Worked with a bunch of different people across every discipline in the studio. I don't mind paying, but I can't pay that much right now. Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. And that's why we're not blowing our budget on paying for assets that we can't necessarily use, right? Like, it's hard. If we had more money and we could burn some money, we'd definitely have a lot more art to put into our game. That's why I feel like I have to find the right people. I don't want to force someone to compromise that much. Yeah. It's really hard because the artists that you want are a premium, and they're always weighing, do I take this and spend my time doing this? So you're being new to all of it. You're going to have better luck getting people who've never shipped anything, and they're going to be more junior and require a heavier hand. And that's hard if you don't have the experience as an art director, right? Like, so I guess one of the things that I've been doing is talking to people I know across the industry, pitching them on what we're doing and saying, we need an art champion. This is an opportunity for you to truly express yourself outside of like what you've done, in your career. Like this, you could put your stamp on this game and say like, this is my visual style. This is my art. This is what I want things to look like. These are my aesthetics, right? Like, so that's kind of the angle that I'm going for, but I have a network. So this again is why I'm saying like, try to get a job in the games industry. I didn't start until I was 30. Can't even get in the room with the premium. Yeah. That's your network. That's where you got to like go meet people. So I derailed myself a little bit, but I was saying, go to cons. Cons can be really good. Be careful about wasting your time. It'll be fun and you'll have a good time. You might have really long conversations with people that amount to nothing. So be careful about how you choose to spend it. Also start checking out like forums and go to Reddit and stuff, and become more active in those communities. So don't go in at first and say I'm looking for people. Contribute to threads, be a part of communities, be in there, build it up, talk about who you are, and then then you can start talking with people about partnership and working together on things, and you'll find better, higher skilled people that way. MVP is done, playable demo. That's your goal, is what you're saying? Honestly, that's why I've been radio silent. I want to burst onto the scene. Well, okay. So there are pros and cons to that. If you plan to burst on the scene, what's up, Adder? We're giving Kuro Pebbles some advice on working on their first game and getting into the game industry and all that, while Tony's working on Black Eye camera plugin and seeing what it can do. Okay, so you're saying MVP done, playable demo. You want to burst onto the scene. So if you want to burst onto the scene, you need to have something that's going to make people go, wow, what the fuck is this? And you got to be really honest with yourself. Can you actually do that, right? Like, what do you have that makes your thing stand apart from everyone else's out there? And if you're bursting onto the scene, you're competing with AAA. So you got to remember that. Be very honest and be like, these guys are also in the same space that I'm playing in. They have budgets of hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. How do I show that I can take a piece of their pie, and like my unique vision is so good that people want to buy it? Like, that's why I was asking those questions or making those suggestions about scope and like who your audience is and all that stuff. Very important things to think about. And, like I was saying, just be honest with yourself, be realistic, and be like, well, I'm not going to make a game that has the ability to compete with another, with a AAA, right? Just based on visuals would be my assumption, because you don't have any artists right now. So you could be like, if my aesthetics don't stand out and show that like this is my game vision and this is why it's special, what other aspects of your game can you show off that will make a player who's not played the game? It's really difficult, because looking at a video of a game is not the same as playing a game. How can you express that and get people's interest captured? Gotta hit them in the face with crazy visuals and decent gameplay features, or wildly polished animations and gameplay features with clearly block out visuals. Either or. Anything perceived as mid-tier is an immediate no-go. 100%. 100%. And I feel like, if I'm being honest, that's where the first Hyperskate trailer kind of landed, right? It wasn't mind-blowingly visual. We didn't do the best job of showing that it's a VR game and like this is how it should play. I went for something a little, different, because all VR demos are basically like first person. You get a lot of like camera shake and shit like that. You see the hands moving around. So we decided to go for like third person cameras with some first person stuff like spliced in there. It doesn't really read as a VR game, and that's not necessarily a good thing, right? So we got to work on making a new trailer. Hopefully this Black Eye camera plugin will help us make a new trailer that looks better. But we're also working on art at the same time. So if we get better art with a better cinematic system, we can make a new trailer, and yeah, we'll be looking great. Kuro, for your information, Adder is also a professional. He's tech art, lighting, cinematics, something like that, kind of in that whole area. This is why 90% of game devs will develop in the shadows. Gamers are easily the most opinionated on the internet, and those opinions are where people look to drive their own. Publishers hold games close to the chest until they know it'll hit the market strong. Yes. And it's important having Adder say that, to know why we're doing what we're doing. That's the brand, and like what we're doing with Fractal Grove is explaining like, this is really what it looks like early. This is how you get here. Here's how you get to the next step. So we're almost like live blogging the game development process, if that makes sense. Very risky, dangerous, obviously. We've already had people say negative shit about Hyperskate. It's the way it goes. So we know this, and we know how to improve it. We know what we're doing, and we're getting there. Oh shit! I missed a bunch of messages from Stakeman. Sorry, bro. Okay, I wanna read these so that we can include you in the conversation. I'm so sorry. Burn rate. Okay, making a horror game. I'm wondering if I should make my game less fun. What are the vibes you're going for? You know, like, do you want? I assume horror game. You want the player to feel scared. And a part of that, if you think about like why Resident Evil has the controls that it does and has always been faithful to that, is the clunky controls make it feel like a more desperate situation. You don't have to get really crazy with like fast reaction time and stuff like that, right? Like your camera's fixed in a room and you got to like walk all fucked up and get away from this, you know, zombie dog that's moving really fast and chasing you down. That's a consideration to make. How does every element of your game tie into the feeling you want with with horror, right? Oh yeah, I bought an asset for inventory because screw making that. Yeah, so Stakeman is agreeing you can definitely get away with a lot of asset flip stuff and it's totally okay. Stakeman says, I miss PAX. UE Fest is really fun though. Yeah, we do have a trailer. It's a year old, so check it out here. I'm going to copy the link from Twitch and throw it over to you in YouTube. So bear with me here just a moment. There you go. VR game trailer equals look at your hands. Yeah, exactly. So I decided like, hey, let's not do that. And it works in the context of where it was shown, which is in a VR game showcase. So everything was look at hands, bobbly head, and ours was different. But if you look at that trailer by itself, you cannot tell it's a VR game, which is problematic, right? So we need to make a standalone trailer. We made this for the XR Indian Friends showcase last year. AAA and AA alike asset flip all day, every day. Ultra dynamic skies and pretty much every UE project. There you go. So, Kuro, that could help a ton. Just knowing that asset flips are there and they exist. This can help you not have to get an artist. Or what you could do is build the majority of your game with asset flips and hire an artist to make stuff that's closer to your vision. That will reduce your scope. Then you don't have to pay as much for making like brand new bespoke art for everything. And you have these really strong concept images to work from. Here's my thought. Poke all the holes in this good info. I've done 3 playtests, 10 to 50 players from school, all 3 with the default Manny. Has been praised for animations, responsiveness, and good feel. Everything is clearly block out. I want to reverse Overwatch. I want it to be clear that the story is priority after V1 of the multiplayer. The story is an episodic release. I've spent about 100K so far. The marketplace is my friend. Okay, so multiplayer is hard. That's the biggest, I think, what I would consider like a yellow or a red flag, something that's cautionary to be like, watch out for this. When you're building a multiplayer game, all of your success is going to hinge on the community you build around that game. If it's competitive or if it's just for fun, that's going to be the core of problems that you're going to need to solve and like really focus. If you want competitive and casual, you won't achieve that. Don't try to do it. People have been doing this for 40 years or 50 years, however long the game industry is at this point, or however old, whatever online multiplayer gaming, however long that's really existed. And they have not achieved that. And the reason is because it's a nearly impossible, if not impossible, design problem to balance for PvE and PvP. Bringing in those two kinds of audiences and mixing them together, that's where you get a live service game. Don't make a live service game. It's not going to be healthy for you or your players. Yeah, there's a lot there. I will say this, doing 3 playtests, awesome. 10 to 50 people in playtests, awesome. That's really cool. That's fantastic. I don't think we've ever managed to get 10 players in a playtest for our game. So that's really cool. Everything clearly block out. Fantastic. That's great. That's where you should start. Find the fun first. Don't worry about the art. It's good that you have good animations, but they also don't matter that much yet. You need to make the game feel good first, and then you can start to make it feel even better with animations. So I'm speaking as a game designer. That's my bread and butter. That's like where I focus on stuff. So you're being a game designer, an art director, or an artist, engineer. You're doing all of the things, project management too. Be careful about shifting your focus. Remember where your priorities are. If you haven't, set up some pillars of your game design. And what I mean is that these things are complementary to each other, and they're sort of like immutable truths about what your game is. And if you find yourself developing a feature that's in conflict with a pillar, the feature doesn't fit. And you need to be really honest about that the feature doesn't fit. Now, what I mean is a pillar is like, this is a competitive multiplayer game. That's a pillar. So if it's a competitive multiplayer game, making a single player campaign doesn't make any sense, because that's not what the game is. You're spending time and effort building a feature that doesn't complement the pillar. So that can help a ton. One thing to note is short and long-term server operating costs. Look into a rough business model. Be brutally honest about the numbers before committing to core features that lean on those costs. Adder's totally right. That's why I worry about a multiplayer game. So for us, Hyperskate is multiplayer, but we use the Steam backend in a peer-to-peer environment. And because of that, and it's not competitive, it can be a little fudgy. Like, it's not going to be super accurate with certain things, but it doesn't matter, because Hyperskate is more about it's more like a feeling, and like you get this cool moment of like looking at some really dope shit in VR and doing 300 miles per hour on a hoverboard and being able to, traverse this massive environment. Like those are the key things. That like sense of wonder and awe that you get from exploration of finding a new vista and checking out something really cool. Those are the important parts. And then feeling like you can go skate and do cool tricks and like haul ass and get massive air. Like, that's another pillar, right? So we've got those two major things. So multiplayer here it's not necessarily a pillar, but it complements those two things, because I can share in those moments with my friends. That's where it's good. So we're not in violation of our pillar by adding multiplayer to Hyperskate, because it's complementary. You could argue that in a multiplayer environment, you're going to have your friend like chatting and making noise in your ear or whatever when you're trying to experience a cinematic moment. So here's the thing. Don't play a full cutscene where you take control away from the player. Don't have extensive voice acting and voiceover and all this like chat bullshit going on, because someone's going to be in your ear talking. So you have to think about a different way to tell your story to get these, the cinematic experience across. You have to think about like, what are the core components of what a cinematic experience is? How do you elicit emotions in human beings that are consuming your art, right? Like those are the ways you get around that. Adder said fudgy, but it works 95% of the time, and you get the core experience you're after without having to shut down access to the game when money dries up. Yep. Yes. Kuro says, I've done a little research on costs, and I have a GDD and tentative business model that I follow pretty closely. Dude, you're planning really well. This is very good stuff. A lot of the people that I've talked to, especially in the indie space, don't have any of that. And they're just making stuff and it's vibes based and they're trying to figure it out, which is okay. It's valid. I think a good example is like Brightside. Brightside's pizza game, forgive me if you do have all this stuff Brightside. It comes off to me as that you're trying to find the, Michelangelo or David in the block of marble, right? Instead of like, I know I'm going to carve David first. These are the pieces that I need to remove, right? And that's a weird metaphor, but anyway, I hope you know what I mean. But yeah, planning I think helps a ton. The idea, side note, thanks to Adder, I'm writing this down seriously. I'm trying to leverage my leadership and management courses from the military to keep the project on track. That's very good. That's really, really good. Very important. I think a lot of the, it sounds like you're a little bit older, and a lot of indie devs are not, they lack the wisdom because they're younger. You know, in their early 20s, they just want to go make video games. Totally fine. But you need to learn from other people's experience before you make the same mistakes everyone's been making forever, right? Like that's the important piece. Good to hear you're maintaining scope creep and sticking to the plan. Games industry is all risk. Yep, it's pretty much only risk. Even the best games could fall flat out of the gate, so make sure you have a backup plan for your backup plan at all times for all features and endeavors, especially when running your own company. Starting your own studio, like I was saying, it's just a whole different can of worms, man. You got so much more shit. The whole Splitgate 2 debacle is a great example right now. Yep. And that's a guy who knows what he's doing. He launched a fucking game. He started a studio. He's done a thing. He made a mistake, and the mistake is grievous. It's hurting his business badly. I got some more messages in YouTube. Let's see. Stakeman says, I would say the big note for me is pacing and moments are kind of flat. Like there aren't peaks and valleys in the music and moments. You're talking about the Hyperskate trailer? Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree. I think it took us, we spent like 2 weeks on this thing. So we really didn't put enough effort into it. We were learning along the way. We
barely knew how to do any of that before we started. Yeah.
We can make a way better trailer now. And it, you know, we're getting close to the time where that actually matters and we should do it. So yeah, you know, we were, it was rushed. We were trying to get it in because I was having conversations with, so the interesting part about the XR Indian Friends thing is the dude who runs it was someone I was pitching to because he used to work for a publisher called Fast Travel Games. He was a games journalist before he got that gig. And then when I was talking to him, he quit that and went back into games journalism and did the XR Indian Friends showcase. And then we got to chatting and he's like, yeah, man, I could put you in the thing for XR Indian Friends. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's get it going. So that happened really quick. I think we had like a 3-week lead time or something like that when we were all confirmed and we were good to go and get in. So yeah, then he, did us a solid and let us feature the trailer, and that's what we made. And it was just me and Tony. So yeah, we can make a way better one now. It's always good to have a second or third game in the works in the background. If games is your business's core product, co-dev or consultation is a good fallback product. Yes. The co-dev or consultation thing can get a little tricky. I've worked for several studios that have done that. And the downside is the co-dev and consultation stuff ends up becoming the core of the business. And that's what they do. And they don't make their own products. That's what I've seen most of the time. So that's why we've had several conversations with different people about co-dev or consultation, but we haven't pulled the trigger on any of those deals because they're going to take us away from working on the things that we want to do, which are core business goals. And it just would be in conflict. So sure, we can make some money. We could put more money in the bank, but we're going to delay everything we're working on by a significant amount of time and have to shift priorities. And, I don't want to be like, hey, Tony, I got us this thing. Let's go work on this. And Tony's like, I fucking hate this and I don't want to work on it. Like, I want Tony to be happy too, right? Like, I want to be happy. I don't want to work on, let's see, one of the things that we got was a VR application for vets or like animal surgeons to do spay and neutering operations. And I was like, I don't want to fucking work on a spay or neutering operation in VR. And Tony was in full agreement. It was like, well, we make like 10 grand doing that. And I don't know,
didn't even
man.
seem like they had 10 grand. So
yeah, that was where the deal was falling flat. I was like, 10 grand is fair. And they were like, okay, we'll have to figure out how to do it. Again, this was another person who was self-funded. It was a dude with a job who was like, this is going to be my next big thing. And he didn't want to give us 10 grand, which I understand. I wouldn't want to give a consultation, group 10 grand to help me make my dream, but he also wasn't in a position where he could do it on his own. So it's hard. Honestly, the thought was I wanted to make a DMC clone. Research costs and said, damn, I don't have 5 minutes nor the experience. Okay, so, or 5 million. So what do players like that I can take from hack and slash in a popular genre, shooters? Okay, let's make a multiplayer DMC hero shooter. The early access MVP demo with player testing could get some eyes on the project and get more money for the story part of the game. Okay, so this is where you're in that cycle that I was talking about of investment. If you go down that route, you're going to get stuck in always chasing money to keep your business afloat. So how could you get to a point without taking money from other people that you have to pay back, plus to continue operating and build the kinds of games you want to build? A DMC clone hero shooter with multiplayer components sounds very, very big. Like, I would say that's probably a $20 to $100 million project with a team of 30 to 50 people. That's a big game, dude. So just be careful. Be really careful. I'm worried. Like I was saying, you could work on this forever, and it's totally valid. If you ever want to ship it, I think you need to reevaluate your pillars and scope and be more focused on what you're trying to build. Adder was saying, example for fallback, saving the company. I'm on a team that had an incredible, fully funded project halfway through dev. Publisher pulled the plug completely out of the blue. We had to cut staff 60% to make our 8-month backup funding last just long enough to get our project number 2 ready for publisher review IP sale. Without project 2, we would have been best to just close shop and cut losses. Yep, that's good leadership. Really good leadership. They had a plan to stay in business, keep the company functioning, execute on their visions, keep it going. That's good shit. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kuro. I'm not trying to make you feel bad about it. Or if you're saying cries in response to Adder's message, I get that too. I want to help you succeed, man. Here, I'll give you an example from our experience. So Tony and I have been wanting to make a third-person action shooter with multiplayer components for 5 years. We've been wanting to make this thing for a really long time. But I was like, no, dude, we can't start there because we will never ship anything, and we need to build a team first. What's up, Burnt Pineapple? Welcome. How you doing today, brother? I like that you've got 42069 in your numbers there, but I just realized that they're like transposed with each other. You got like a spoonerism version of it. That's great. But yeah, so Adder's making a really good point. Multiplayer infrastructure is very, very, very expensive. We've talked about it a few times on the channel, but the SKG movement doesn't understand it, and it's problematic. You know, I'm a fan of protecting consumers and allowing people to have a product that they paid for that they can continue to use because they paid for it. The reality of software development does not square with that. So, you know, Tony and I have mentioned it several times. The best solution for us guys as gamers, as people who love this as our favorite hobby, and we love games and we want to play our favorite games forever, stop fucking buying games as a service. Stop buying always online games. I know it sucks because you'd be like, that looks really fucking cool and I want to play it. But just know, if you buy it, it could get shut off in 3 months. Like, that's the way it fucking works. Go buy an indie game. Go buy like Silk Song or something like that, right? Like, go buy something that you can own forever. Go buy Hyperskate, because we're not going to make Hyperskate work that way. It's wishlistable now on Steam, by the way. But it's not for sale yet. So wishlistable on Steam. We were targeting a 25 release for it, but I think we're probably going to slip into Q1 26 at this point. Streamer Soldier Official, what's up? Welcome. What do you think about solo indie devs? Do you think they're mentally unstable freaks? No, not at all. I think they're people with big dreams who are, yeah, I can relate, dude. Like, that's us essentially, right? Like, I think there's an element of courage and ambition that is really, really important, but sometimes it can cross over into hubris or arrogance, and set you up for failure and losing your whole ass. And like, that's why I say Go get a job in AAA if you've never made a game before. Ship some games before you put your fucking life on the line to, to make your dream real. It's really hard to do. So get some experience. Go learn from people who've made other mistakes with money that's not your money, someone else's budget, some investors, some business leaders. Learn everything you can from them, and then you'll be set up really, really well. There'll come a point where you go, I could fucking do this. I could do it better than they can. That's why Tony and I did this. I was like, we could do this. We could do it better than they can. I missed some of Stakeman's messages, and I missed AAA batteries, so I'm going to catch those YouTube comments real quick. I always try to set up drops, risers, builds in the trailers I make. Most of that comes from the music, so I often lay that out first. Dude, Stakeman, if you want to talk to us about cinematic shit, dude, I would be massively indebted and grateful. It would be cool as fuck, man. If you want to have like a side conversation as we get into this stuff, off stream, we would. I don't even know how to express. I don't have the words for how awesome that would be. But yeah, any help would be sick as fuck. Even if you're just like, okay, this is bad, do this instead. It would go miles. And I guess a tip for showing speed. I often widen the FOV subtly over a shot and kind of vertigo Hitchcock shot. Dude, that's fucking cool, man. Yo, that's good advice. AAA says fudgy. How did a glorious food become essentially a bad word? I mean, I was just riffing and I said it, so then it got into the conversation in the chat. So that's my bad. VR trailers are rough. I've only done 2, but filming them is a huge pain. Honestly, though, the expression form VR controllers is rad, though. Hell yeah, man! Thank you. Thank you for just contributing everything you've got. You've got a lot of insight. Oh, Mega Mocap, you came over to Twitch because I was ignoring you too much. I'm so sorry, bro. Okay. Let's scroll up a little bit. Yeah, most people don't notice. I'm sorry, Burnt Pineapple. I don't know which one you were commenting on there. Don't worry about it. Well, I'll just keep going. I got a bunch of messages. I'm actually good now that my VR sandbox item gun spawner thingy works with the spawn menu. Hell yeah. We've got another engineer working with us who's been helping with like save load and debug menu and stuff like that. And it's going a very long way because Tony's in perf land and figuring out how to optimize hyperskates so that we really know what our graphical baseline is. So then we can build a bunch of cool shit in that and make the game really good looking. Adder says, Kuro, the project or idea never has to die. It just can be put into the project number 2 role and you build solo in the background where funding isn't necessary. Can make a lower scope project number 1 with low operating cost to build company equity, experienced staff, bank, and project number 2 gets dev time of 1 or 2 days a week. I think I trailed off. That was the point I was making. Tony and I have been wanting to make a third-person action shooter for about 5 years, and we know we can't start there because we would never finish, so we went to smaller scope things. We've got about 5 projects in total that we're looking at building. Hyperskate's our current focus, but Hyperskate is much smaller in scope. When we get that out there, because we're self-published and self-funded, then we have pure revenue from that because we haven't signed a deal with anyone that's going to get a cut of Hyperskate. So that money then goes into the next game. Then revenue from that next game goes into the next game. Depending on how successful those things are, we can make what we were calling Railgun as our, dream big game passion project that we've been wanting to make forever. So when we get enough resources there, we can really make this big ass thing that, we're super excited about. I figured I could use Steam and EOS for a bit. Yeah, Steam multiplayer backend is pretty good. But if you're making a competitive game, it's going to be tricky. You're going to get weird game feel because a lot of that depends on when you're using a P2P model, as you know from networking. You're depending on physical location of the host and the server, right? Like, so yeah, and different people's internet connections and all that. So the gameplay experience is going to vary widely. If you go to a dedicated server model, it's definitely going to be better. But remember, that's cost prohibitive. It's tens of thousands of dollars a month to run that infrastructure, depending on how many markets you're in. Focus on the multiplayer and make it Calamity 2. Yeah, I mean, or think about something. So you've been working on it for 2 years. Think about something you can make now with your current skill set that will help you start getting passive income from a product that you have in the market because you've made a thing that's for sale. That can fund your bigger projects. That's a good way to go. Or can help you sign a deal with someone. Yeah, focus on whatever financially makes sense for you, for your business development, if you're focused on building your own. Survival first, dream project second. Yes, Adder is 1000% right. Plus, dream project will always be better once you get some shit products under the belt. Yep, you're going to get better at making good shit. Please give help. I'm working on a cinematic next month. Nice. Yeah, I'm good to talk trailer stuff anytime. It's kind of my day job. Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Again, it never has to die or stop. Keep the momentum up. Take your shots at publishers and investors, but never bury yourself financially. Yes. Be careful spending your own money, man. You said you're about 100K in. Be careful. Be really careful because you may never get that money back. And if you're fine with that and you're in a financial situation where you can do it, cool, man. Spend your money the way you want. But don't take the risk of like, I'm going to spend this because I'm going to make it back and, you know, triple when the game hits the market. You don't know that that's going to happen. There's no way to guarantee that that's going to happen either. Pineapple says, ooh, nice. I'm gonna go. Good luck. Yeah, take it easy, Pineapple. Sorry, we have a pretty active chat today, so I'm trying to keep up with everybody. I am currently 210K a year. Wait, what was this in response to? Kuro, how much to steal you? Yeah. Adder's too expensive, dude. He's way too expensive. Kuro, that's that dude. Asking if he's hiring, perfect, man. That's the way to go. Unfortunately, you're potentially looking for a job right now at like one of the worst times historically to get a job in the games industry because there's like 60,000 fucking highly skilled professionals that are without work because of all the layoffs in the last 2 years. So it's really an employer's market, not an employee's market. It's fucking tough, dude. So good luck. It doesn't mean that you can't make it happen. Build your network. Go meet people. Handshakes. Have a beer. Or whatever works for you. You know what I mean? Go socialize. Because meeting people face to face goes miles. It just helps so much. Stream Soldier says... Oh, sorry. Streamer Soldier Official. That's it. Sorry. Yeah, I released a game I thought would have been amazing, but free to build a following and only got 300 people to play it. It's very high risk. Yep. It is. It's very high risk. For us, the business doesn't hinge on Hyperscape being a critical success. We're going to be okay. It's one of the ways for us to generate more passive income to fund other projects in addition to the stream, right? Like having both of those things helps a ton. My biggest problem, as soon as I stopped working on the Calamity, I got bored. I started because this was the game I wanted to make. Started a business when I was in my early 20s. I sold it, so I'm okay for a bit. And I got VA benefits from the government from getting hurt while I was in, so I'm chilling for a bit, about another year or so. Nice. Just don't spend those on your game, man. Just trust me here, please. Take your bag that you got and your extra money and invest that shit into retirement funds and other stuff. Grow that money and be as austere as you can. Do not spend where you don't have to. So just be careful with it because it'll dry up way faster than you think. You helped on other people's projects, but that was short term. Nice. Have you worked on anything like big or just like indie stuff or smaller scale? And I'm not trying to like shit on that. You know, like I was saying, I worked on mobile games and I worked on Destiny 2 and like everything in between, right? Last game I worked on at a larger studio, still an indie studio, was Return to Moria. Yeah, I was they had me credited as a senior designer, but I was functioning as a lead designer for sure. I was running teams and shit. Senior designers don't do that. No, just indie, making tools and helping refine gameplay stuff. Some mobile payment stuff. Okay, cool. So you mostly did like software dev work and, you know, yeah, cool. Yeah, join the Discord, man. That's the best way to keep in touch with us. We're on that all the time, but we only stream 4 hours a week. So it's hard if you want to come around and like, you know, say, hey, I need some help with this. Like we've helped Brightside with a bunch of stuff from, let's see, how to turn on dark mode in a tool to, what were some of the bigger, spicier things? Multiplayer networking, we helped them figure out. Four or five projects in your portfolio. That's cool, man. You don't have to share, but if you want to, I'd be curious to check them out. And you can talk about what you did on those. Also appreciate your service, even if you were just a fuel can guy. It's totally cool. I have a very strong appreciation for the military. I think it's great that we have an all-volunteer military in the United States, and I don't want to see that change. And the only reason that works is because people go and enlist, and they, you know, go above and beyond their civic duty. So I appreciate that. Pogas, motherfucker. I'm just kidding. That's an Army thing. I don't know if you say that in the Marines. Hey, I can tell you everything there is to know about gas. Yeah, dude, I bet. Mil-spec gas, at least. I'm not allowed to say that. I understand it's derogatory, but I'm a civilian, never enlisted. So I don't think it's appropriate for me to say pogue, but I know what it is. Yeah, I was in high school, I think senior year when 9/11 happened. So like I had a lot of friends, you know, enlist and like go to war and everything. Mil-spec gas is a great bug repellent, definitely known to cause cancer in California. Yes, true, Adder. Oh man. Since we're talking about mil-spec, one of the funniest things ever for me was I was at a family reunion in Florida. We were at like Disney or whatever, and I was like drinking with my cousins. One of my cousins was a Navy diving instructor. He's retired now, but at the time he's like, cousin, you want a shot? And I was like, what you got? And he goes, mil-spec whiskey. Dead ass. Just it looked like a bottle of Jack Daniels. The generic label said military special whiskey. It's so fucking great, man. So yeah, it was ass, by the way. It was horrible. It wasn't as bad as I expected. It was no like black velvet, but it was good shit, man. I thought he was bold for going for the whiskey. I don't know why he did that. He should have gone for like the mil-spec vodka, because vodka just tastes like ethanol no matter what. Oh, dude, diesel is a fantastic degreaser. You just got to keep it away from heat sources. I mean, I guess that's true of all solvents, right? Except for like Simple Green. I prefer Simple Green for my degreasers.
You reminded me of that part in Trailer Park Boys where Ricky's explaining to the guys how to tell the difference between normal gas and diesel because diesel tastes sweet.
I think if your gasoline tastes sweet, you have antifreeze in there, and you should fix your head gasket. Avgas smells like skunks in a gym bag, but looks like blue Gatorade. Hell yeah, dude! It's spicy blue Gatorade. Methanol race fuel in the garage. It's in a metal locker because I'm terrified of clear flame. Yeah, dude. You don't want that shit.
Big time.
Cleans anything and everything. Oh, Adder, I know you're not a big F1 guy, but I caught up on all the races this weekend, so I'm solid on F1. We're good to go. I think Omni just got into it. It was Spa in Belgium this weekend. Really fun. It always rains at Spa. Jet fuel is like one of the best smelling things in the world. What, kerosene, bro? Isn't that jet fuel? Fucking Marines, man. That's hilarious. That's some fucking Marine ass shit, dude. Oh, I love the smell of jet fuel. That's amazing, bro. Yeah, a bunch of my friends that enlisted were Cap Scouts, 19 Deltas. A couple infantry. I don't remember the MOS designation for infantry, but most were Cap Scouts. Nah, JP8, JA1. The season's been great. So stoked for the return of NA engines next gen. Cadillac prototyping V8, V10s for their F1 debut. Also, Adder, Audi. I'm very interested in that, dude. Because anytime Audi competes in motorsports, they like find the craziest way to interpret regulations and end up cheating and like winning and just winning handily until they get banned and then they quit. So I want to see what happens to Sauber next year. That'll be very interesting. Tony, what the fuck you got going on, bro? I just took a look at that. I see it on YouTube. I'm a few seconds behind, but you got some rainbow spooky forest going on?
Yep. I put this screen from the drum sheds thing back here.
Yeah, dude.
And then I just, the black eye cameras do look pretty good out of the box. Yep. And I just thought that would be cool. I don't know if you saw the other one I had going on here. This one.
I saw you in the drum sheds.
No, so I had this one too. Where's my sequence? Right here.
Yeah, I like the pyramid. The pyramid was cool.
Is it disconnected now? Why? Object bound to this track is missing. No, it's not.
Oh, did you save your scene file separately? Or sequencer file?
There we go. And then, yeah. Okay, we got it now.
Hey, what's up, Turning Cog?
Need this to be on that. Right?
Oh, this is where it was like lifting up out of the ground? Yeah, that was cool as fuck.
I don't know why my camera cuts are all fucked up, but let's see.
Yeah, exactly, mocap. Just rave things. Tony's out in the woods at a music festival.
Getting the Wook flu.
Yup.
Yep.
I think the thing I need the most help with is UI and level design and some camera stuff. So Kuro, level design, I'm good at that. That's my thing. I did level and encounter design for most of my career. So feel free to hit me up on Discord. We can chat about some stuff as much as you want. And for what it's worth, very few people take me up on that. I think the last person who did was Queen Anne. We checked out her game. I gave her a whole slew of feedback. They have a demo up on Itch, and I think it was Itch. It was on something, but I could play it through like a web app. And I just gave her a ton of feedback. We chatted for probably about like 2 hours this weekend about her game. So it was cool. It was good. I hope she appreciated it. UI is the worst. Level design, just use gray cubes for everything until it's 100% fun. Yeah. What I've been using is the Blockout Tools plugin. And Tony's building me some better tools so that we don't have to use the Blockout Tools plugin for everyone that contributes to the project. It's become kind of like a pain in the neck of like, oh, you don't have this, so you have to go get this plugin, or we have to figure out a way to disable it. And if we disable it, you can't see any of the geo that Vince has been building.
Yep.
So yeah, no worries, Adder. Got to go load the race cars in the trailer for this 105-degree heat. Oh boy, dude. Yo, stay cool, man. Stay hydrated. Yeah, I wouldn't want to fucking go out there and load cars into a trailer in 105-degree heat. I have a real bad perfectionist thing when it comes to UI and level design. So, Kuro, the perfectionism is good, but just remember that completing the overall design is more important than fussing with every corner and making that corner perfect. Complete the whole level first, and then start adjusting all of your little details as you're playing through it, and that'll be easier. Yeah, Kuro, Adder's awesome. He catches pretty much every stream, and he's in Discord too. He's very friendly and very helpful. Dude knows his shit. Oh shit, Tony. Turning Cog says, I've been struggling with world partition. Realized even after all my reading and trials, I've been in the wrong math for my height map images. I was using power instead of using power of 2 instead of primes. I'm pretty sure Tony experienced some shit like that too.
Yeah, dude, definitely. It's just a lot of trial and error, and I feel like even the answers that they give you aren't always what you actually need, I guess.
So we're running out of time here for the stream today, but Kuro, I want to keep talking to you about this stuff. So if you want to DM me, I can talk to you about like level design and scale. A lot of it is smoke and mirrors. Getting the sense of scale is very challenging, but there are ways to do it. They often relate to film techniques. So it's a protracted conversation, but I'm happy to talk to you about it. So if you want to hit me up on Discord or something, that's cool. I'm Viper Zero in Discord. We have the things under our portraits in the stream. So that's all of our channels. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Happy to talk to you. Oh yeah, Kuro. World partition stuff has been where Tony's been trying to optimize perf. He was fighting world partition for probably like a month, and then got onto like procedurally generated materials and render pipeline and a bunch of other stuff. So we're getting there. He's almost done, and then we'll have a really solid baseline of frame time, and we can start building from there and adding more shit in and making the game look real good. Where do you want to call it, Tony? You're still messing with things, but yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost done. I'm just
take your time, dude. I'm not in any rush, so we're chilling. There's nothing going on today that I got to get taken care of after stream. I had to go back and forth between 427 docs, 5.2 and 5.6. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, there's that new world building guide, and I think that has a lot of really good stuff in it. And I ended up figuring out that I was just misunderstanding a lot of it after just playing around with it for as long as I have, and just kind of figuring out some of those specific things about like the sizes that it tells you to generate things as opposed to what you actually need to do and stuff like that. It ended up helping a lot once I figured it out, but I just think the docs are really terrible, and there's not any resources that are going to help you with like, here's how you should do it for a game. It's just like, here's how you should do it for like making a cool, impressive looking world that is not going to work.
Kuro, if you want to follow us on anything else too, it helps a lot. Like I was saying, we fund the business through YouTube and Twitch. So we do have a YouTube channel. YouTube is almost monetized currently. Well, it is technically monetized, but only through Super Chat. We need watch hours, and that'll get us over the hump for AdSense, which means that we can monetize our other videos that have been successful, and that helps us a ton. So if you can chuck us a follow, comment on some videos that you like or whatever, there's a bunch of Destiny content on there. So if you want to go look at that, I'm sure you've seen us on some of the bigger streamers. We got content React Ouroboros on a marathon video that we did. Yeah, thank you, Kuro. Really appreciate that. Tell your friends, tell your family. But yeah, so that being said, like, any of those bigger videos we have, I did a Whisper and 0 Hour design ride along interview with Mikowski that got like, I don't remember. We had something that did like 30 or 40,000 views, which would be nice to monetize. So getting us to that point is you just have to hit certain metrics and then you're good with YouTube. They're much harder to do on YouTube than they are on Twitch. You have to get way bigger numbers. So we're trying to balance both. See how it goes. For what it's worth, I think we hit affiliate on Twitch within our first like 3 weeks or something. And so Twitch was monetized very fast. But monetization on YouTube took us like almost a year to get to Super Chats. And we're going on 2 years, I think, to get to AdSense monetization. And it's tough, man. I understand why people make a bunch of like bait videos and shit. The whole like YouTube algorithm is it doesn't feel great. I want to make good content. I want to make stuff that's like bait and gets views because it's pissing people off. Oh, you stream on Twitch, Kuro? Let me chuck you a follow, brother. All right, there you go. I hit you with the follow. All right, either way, if you want to get back into it, you got another follower. Let's see. Turning Cock says is messing with water body splines, and when you add a new spline, it basically zeroes the river width, making it just a pain to work with at scale. Oh, when you add a new spline point. Yeah,
I don't think the water system, like, I probably would not use it, to be honest with you. It just feels, it changes almost every release. It doesn't feel like it's totally figured out yet. It does weird stuff like you're talking about. I've had it just like, you know, you randomly open the level and it was just like totally broken, and it was totally fine the last time you had it. I don't know. Their water looks pretty good, but I think you could probably figure something else out that would work just as well for you, that is less complex and it doesn't rely on their broken stuff. You know, like at the end of the day, it's a volume or a plane that has a material on it and some logic.
Oh, also, Kuro, if you're a car guy, I know a lot of military people are car guys. I'm happy to chat with you about cars too. It takes a lot of effort for me to not talk about cars all the time every day. So like video games is like number one, and cars are like right underneath that. I'd say cars are like 0.9 of my top interests. Yeah, big car nerd. Adder and I talk about cars way too much. Well, not too much for us, but, you know, too much for other people who don't give a shit about cars. This thing is cool as fuck, Tony. Is what's the material you got on there?
It's that screen material from Hyperscape.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were like zoomed in on the pyramid with that like crystalline.
The pyramid, that one is the opal material that
I remember that.
Electric Dreams. That it looks really fucking good. It's like the only substrate material that is worth using, it seems like.
Hell yeah. I like cars, but I don't know as much about cars as I know about gas. Oh, you know as much about cars as you don't know about gas. Yeah, no worries. I bullied Omnidynamic into enjoying cars over knowing him for a couple of years. So yeah, don't worry. Yeah, cars have 3+ wheels. That's correct. Yeah, I feel like 3- wheels is not cars. Yeah. But you could have like a 6-wheeled vehicle, and I guess that kind of counts as a car. Yeah, like
using substrate opal will be a new favored material for legendary weapon skins. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen similar materials popping up in like COD and Apex Legends and stuff. So,
yep,
I believe that. Okay, let's get this wrapped up.
I don't know what we're playing tomorrow, Tony. Do you know?
I do not.
Chat, fellers and fellettes, if you have any suggestions, we're open to them. But otherwise, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. Turning Cock says, I really think that. Oh, never mind. You already said that about Opal. Mocap says he saw a car in the Fast and Furious movies once. Yeah, that's true. Turning Cog chose the game last time. Yeah, someone else could choose. It's okay if you want to choose again this time, Turning Cog. Cookie Clicker? Bro, what? The fuck is Cookie Clicker? Are you trolling right now?
No, Cookie Clicker is a thing. It's like it's kind of like that Norp Apolog game I was talking about, where
he said he is trolling. Nuclear Nightmare. No, I don't know anything about that. Nuclear Nightmare. Oh, is it like The Forest? I see a thumbnail that says Nuclear Nightmare, The Forest. Evading the Black Goo Virus. Do you trust your friends? Oh, that guy's burning. I'm guessing he doesn't trust his friends. Trust your instincts? torch some bugs. Okay. If you like The Thing, Nuclear Nightmare is cool. All right. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Appreciate the suggestions. We'll take a look at some options and see what we want to play. Yeah. And then tomorrow, 2 to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That's when we are live tomorrow. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for coming through. Thank you for the follows.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for the new chat.
Kind of silently sit here and make shit. So
you're doing great, Tony. You made some cool stuff. Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.